Okay, Assalamualaikum and good day everyone. So today is our first online session and we will be covering a new subtopic of our course, which is converting problem into opportunities. So we will be covering on the introductory part of how do we identify problems, how to be creative, and then we will look into the context of problem identification in industrial design. Later on the second online lecture series, we will be looking at the methods to collect design information and what are the suitable tools that can be used to analyze the opportunities. Before we proceed further into our topic, I would like to take your attention into a case study of a post-it note. So post-it note is a very popular stationery. I think almost everyone have seen a post-it note and you have used a post-it note. So the main feature of a post-it note is that it is actually just a simple paper, a simple small paper with a layer of adhesive at the back of it so that you can paste that particular note either on the wall or on paper. And the key feature of the post-it note is actually the weak adhesive applied at the back of it. Okay, so factually speaking, historically speaking, the adhesive, the layers of glue which was applied to post-it note was actually found by mistake. Initially, the researcher, the material researcher actually wanted to find a formulation for a super glue, for a super adhesive to glue up the components of aeroplanes. But instead, by mistake, they found the formulation of a weak glue instead. So, that particular issue or that particular problem have brought into the interest of the 3M, which is the producer or the manufacturer of stationery products. And they use that formulation, which was found by mistake, which initially doesn't bring any benefit to an aircraft industry, and they use it to their stationery products. And it turns out to be one of the most successful innovations throughout the century. The innovation of the adhesive of the post-it note is actually an example of how they convert a problem into a very successful opportunity. So quoted by Sun Tzu, victory comes from finding opportunities in problems. So not all problems is a bad thing. Most of the time, problems will bring you victory, and at certain times, problems will let you have victory in the forms of monetary value or successful gains. Okay, so how do we convert problem into opportunities? Well, basically, we have to be creative. So some of you might be wondering, damn, we're not creative enough. Okay, creativity is usually perceived as in the context of artistic creative or linguistic creative. So normally, orang yang pandai design, you would say that person is creative. Orang yang pandai buat an innovation, you would say that person is creative. But basically, creativity is actually within all of us. For example, lambat pergi kelas. So, you would be creative enough to ask your friend to help you take picture of the QR code so that you can scan the attendance. That is creativity, my friend. Okay, so basically, the point is every person has the capacity to be creative, not just designers and artists. Okay, so creativity, it covers a wide range of area, not really on the artistic part only. So being creative is actually instinctive. Okay, it is natural, it is within everyone. So it is a set of basic survival skills that actually develop over time and based on your personal experience. So the main point here is that in order for you to convert a problem into a very useful opportunity requires creativity. So the big question now is, how do we become a creative person? So theoretically, there are 7 sets of creative skills that you can develop. We will look into it one by one. The first type of creative set is by using empathy. Empathy is actually the feeling, the experience of the user. Okay, so it is actually a core skill which guide designer to create product that suits the needs of the user. For example, if you are designing a product for the blind person, you have to empathize how they feel. For example, given in the picture here, in order for you to empathize the feeling of the blind person, you have to be blind yourself so that you know what is their real issue, what is their real struggles. Okay, so by empathizing on the potential user, you have the ability to understand and share their feelings, and at the same time you may gather hidden needs which the user really needs. So empathy helps you to fully appreciate a situation. It helps you to see how the people are affected with that particular situation, and when you understand their issue, then only you can propose a strategy or solution to solve their problem. The second type of creative skill is by having a contingency plan. So if plan A doesn't work, then you have to come up with a plan B. Or plan B doesn't work, you have to come up with plan C, plan D, and so on until something works. Okay, so that is known as a contingency plan. So normally when you develop a product, you may encounter some kind of issue or problems in the production line or in terms of the material, whatever it is. So even when you're proposing the idea for your product, you may encounter with multiple issues. So in order for you to ensure the success of the execution of your project, you have to have a contingency plan, a backup plan, to make sure that if certain plan doesn't work, then you have an option or alternative to proceed with other plans. Let's take the example of this enclosure cap of medicine box. So sometimes elderly people will face a difficulty in opening the bottle, the cap bottle of the medicine case. So what are the alternatives to ensure that they can open up the medicine bottle? Okay, so plan A is to use a bottle cap opener. But if plan A doesn't work, let's have a plan B, which is use a packet for the elderly. And if plan B still doesn't work, then let's consider plan C, for example, using a sachet type of medicine to cater to the needs of the elderly. So you see that when you have come out with multiple contingency plans, you are actually being creative in the problem solving process. The third set of creative skills that you can adopt is actually problem solving. It sounds quite straightforward actually. So problem solving can only begin when you identify what is the root cause, what is the issue in the first place. For example, if you don't have enough money to buy food, then what's the root cause of you not having enough money? Probably you don't have sufficient fund, probably you don't have hustle income, probably you spend out the money during the early of the month to go watch some good movies. Okay, so that's just an example. So another example, if we are to use up the same example as a previous case study, which is if the elder people face difficulty in opening the bottle cap of the medicine case, so what's the root cause of that problem? So we have to identify what is the root cause, and only we can propose the solution. So the root cause in this case would probably be that the enclosure cap of the medicine bottle is just too tight, or maybe the surface is too slippery for the old person to grip. Okay, so in order for you to proceed with the problem solving activity, you can follow through these 5 steps. Okay, the first one is you have to analyze what are the main cause, what are the root cause. So how do you identify the root cause of a problem? So you can do data analysis, data collection, data gathering, maybe some market study, and then you can look at the history of the problem. Is this a common problem or is it a repetitive problem? Okay, the second one is that when you have identified the issues, then only you can generate multiple alternatives of solution. Okay, so how do you do this? You can do brainstorming. You can use up the Ishikawa or the fishbone diagram to identify the potential problem solving strategy. Okay, you can proceed with creative thinking, you can forecast, you can start planning for your project. Okay, once you have generated multiple sets of alternative, of course you can't proceed with all alternative because it will be very costly. So normally we will prioritize which are the alternatives that we want to proceed for our problem solving activity. So you can consider the impact of cost and the impact to the process when you proceed with that particular alternative. Okay, and later on you start implementing the plan, and don't forget to evaluate the effectiveness of the problem solving activity. So the effectiveness can be measured by doing some kind of data analysis, by doing survey, by checking back feedback of the user. And the next set of creative skill is imagination. So taking the quote by Albert Einstein, he says that imagination is more important than knowledge. What do you think it means there? Does it berangan itu lebih baik daripada ilmu pengetahuan? Well, berangan tu percuma. Imagining something is free. So basically, imagination is a way of thinking of the possible solution. the what ifs. So imagination actually sparks the creative thinking process. Okay, so problem solving is usually designed by your imagination. It based on the imagined outcome. Let's take the example of the design of this beverage bottle. So initially, you will imagine what is the best design of a beverage bottle in your head, and then you would translate it on paper with multiple sketches to really put your ideas on paper. Okay, so when of course you would come up with multiple alternative, multiple options, and the next step is for you to create new and worthwhile ideas. So this is actually the ability to think divergently, in a way of saying that if I give you one problem, you should be able to come up with at least 10 or 20 or 30 different solutions. So that is called divergent thinking. So you should not only focus one problem, one solution. No, divergent thinking means that you are able to come up with multiple solution, different originality, and very unique solution that can be adapted to that particular problem. So let's take the example of a paperclip design. So most people, they can come up with about 10 to 15 ideas on the function of a paperclip. But people with divergent thinking skills, they can come up with like 200 different ideas of how they can use that paperclip. So that is called divergent thinking. Looking into the case study of a Coke bottle again, so we can design like a straight bottle, but if you are creative enough, maybe you can play around with the shape of the design. So in this case, the bottle is being designed like it have some kind of profile along the body of the bottle. So what is so cool about this design is that it can be collapsed. It is the design, the structure is collapsible, which makes it 66% smaller when it is compressed. What good does it bring? Usually at the end of life, when you compress a product, so it leaves smaller footprint at the end of their life. So when you dispose this kind of bottle into the landfill, it doesn't take up too much space compared to the normal bottle without any trading around it. Okay, so the design of this Coke bottle is also inspired to increase the visibility of the product. So the curve of a Coke bottle is very significant. It looks very different, that it inspire other brand to follow their design as well. So as you can see, their design is actually based on the curves of a woman body. Ooh, who doesn't like to see the curves of a woman body? So they actually adopted that particular feature into a bottle design to make it more visible, to attract attention from their potential market. Okay, so even if they put up their bottle onto the stacks of the vending machine, you will see that this bottle is like so cool and so different, and it stands out from other different brands. The next one is working with limitation. So normally when you are developing a product, when you're coming out with a problem, normally you will be constrained with certain set of limitation. For example, you cannot proceed with a very expensive project. For example, the process of this particular project is too expensive. That is the limitation when you are trying to develop a product. So one of the solution is you have to work around with that particular limitation to come up with a creative solution. So IKEA, for example, IKEA have produced a very interesting range of furniture design, right? So they mass produce their furniture, which makes it fairly more affordable among all people. So IKEA, it starts their design work with the price limitation. So it works backwards. So their main concern is they have to make sure their design suits the price range of their potential market. So it's up to the designer how they can create something that is appealing to fit the user needs. So the final part of being creative is to collaborate. So it's difficult to work solo, especially if you're working with a huge project. Okay, collaboration actually improves the way of how you communicate your idea to other people. It actually makes your team be a divergent thinker. Sometimes your friends would inspire you into creating something else than your original idea. So collaboration actually improves the way of how the team work together. It helps you solve the problem, which leads to more innovation, more efficient process, increased success, and improved communication. That is a very healthy product development activity. So for example, major brands would usually collaborate with another major brands so that they can leverage on their market segment. Take example of the duck product. Duck product is actually a local brand in Malaysia, and when they collaborate with major brands which is known internationally, such as Disney and also Starbucks, they actually expanded their market segment to go global. So, in the context of industrial design, problem identification is one of the core activity that you need to do. Okay, so it starts with identifying what is the real problem, what is the issue, and then the second one is you observe what does the user really needs, and the third one, then only you can come up with a new idea to solve their problem. Okay, so for your task and as a proof of your online attendance, I would like you to look into the four case study given in the slide and look at the pictures very, very carefully. Identify what are the problems for each of the situation given in the case study. After that, please come up with a solution, propose a solution on how you can solve the particular problem in that case study. Okay, so please submit your ideas into the provided link in ulearn. Okay, so I think till then, see you later, alligator.